Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. Plenty to talk about in the Western Pacific today. We have two named storm systems, at least according to Bagasa, Butchoy and Carina, towards the west and east of the Philippines. And both of these storms are having their own types of impacts here, but I think the more impactful one as far as that extended forecast is going to be Carina here as it moves off towards north, eventually strengthening into a powerful typhoon near the southern Japanese islands, and then also enhancing that southwest monsoon, while Butchoy moves off towards the north and west and moves onshore across Hainan as a relatively weaker storm. And really what's happening is this storm system to the east is going to almost suck in a lot of that energy, how that storm intensify while the other one weakens out due to increase in shear and also just the lack of that moisture flow, just because you have that decent inflow channel coming into this first storm. And also I just want to kind of show this to you, just taking a quick look at satellite imagery. This is what I'm talking about with that moisture inflow channel. You can see it right here wrapping in across the Indochina Peninsula into Carina here. Plus, if we take a look at basically what we're seeing aloft in the atmosphere, the not only moisture inflow, but this outflow channel. Remember, these storm systems, the tropical cyclones, they're like machines. You have good inflow at the base and outflow aloft that will allow for intensification. And this right here, these are the winds aloft flowing away from the storm as well towards the south, while the lower level winds are flowing into the storm, aka this machine we're talking about that allows for that tropical development and tropical enhancement. So let's break this down. First, we're going to take a look actually at the current satellite here, the infrared. This is the enhanced infrared, I should say. You're getting that convection continuing to wrap up here around our center of circulation. That outflow aloft, as I mentioned, it moving over relatively warmer sea surface temperatures, which is allowing this to strengthen. Thus, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center doesn't have it as a tropical depression, but it is expected to become a tropical storm as we go ahead through this weekend and intensify up to probably maybe a Cat 2, maybe even a major hurricane equivalent over Ishigaki and Miyako-jima. But there's a large wind field in the expected forecast with this too. So if you are in Okinawa Honto, even if it passes well towards your west, you still are going to be looking at that flow kind of wrapping it around in some gusty conditions on the southern coast. Now, this would not be a full-on typhoon in this particular situation for Okinawa, but you still could see those gale force conditions, which those sometimes, especially if you get steady gale force, 40 to 50 knots, it does surprise people. And I don't say that in a sense of to panic you or anything like that. But, just be ready if you go through those core conditions, especially for U.S. military members out here in Okinawa. Make sure, make sure you take them seriously. And that's going to be the worst of the weather on Tuesday as opposed towards north. On the backside of it, though, we also have that monsoonal inflow coming in across the Philippines, which is going to bring some heavy rainfall for the west coast of the Philippines. So regardless if the storm does hit the northeast coast of Luzon or not, big issue is going to be that inflow that's going to bring that threat of flooding mainly across Ilocos del Sur, Region 1, Pangasinan, all the way down towards the NCR and western areas of Mindoro as well, all thanks to that enhanced southwest monsoonal flow, also known as the habagat here in the Philippines. So let's just kind of take a look at that forecast with our low moving off towards the north. That secondary, the Butchoy, moves towards the west. See how that weakens out, and then we get our storm pushing across Okinawa and the southern Japanese islands just towards the east of Taiwan. Now, some questions here where exactly it could go. I mean, like right now it's kind of moving northwest, so even the east coast of Luzon, the reason why no one lives here because they always get hit by storms, but we still could see some scattered showers pushing across parts of the Cagayan Valley. This all is taking place as it rounds the high pressure ridge towards the east, and we kind of have that ridge settling in. So it's going to round that, and you can see here what our forecast as we got through Sunday into Monday, just per the ECMWF, staying offshore of northeast Luzon. But don't let that fool you. Look at the monsoonal flow coming in behind it Monday, Tuesday, over towards Wednesday. Pretty persistent. And in fact, I would anticipate some flooding on the west coast of the Philippines. Just once again, I can't stress that enough. As this passes over Ishigaki and Miyako-jima, as we go ahead through Tuesday into Wednesday, we see those gustiest conditions really in the right front quadrant here. especially for Miyako-jima, based on this current forecast, that would be an eye-wall passage. That island is used to typhoons. This wouldn't be out of the ordinary, but I'm sure for our military friends into Okinawa Honto, a lot of people new to these storm systems. And all this would have to do is sway just a little bit towards the east, or have a broader wind field, or even get a couple of these rain bands that push on through, creating that chance of some mesovortices, aka tornadoes, impacts like that. And you could be looking at that. So like I said, once again, you really want to pay close attention to this storm's track, and especially those core conditions and the warnings from JMA. Closer to the Philippines, though, I can't take you off the radar here, because yeah, that the center of the storm, big impacts, but that monsoonal inflow is once again going to set up some fairly heavy precipitation, which you can see here with our futurecast looking ahead through Tuesday and the Wednesday. Areas in that darker red indicating upwards of, 300 millimeters or more. That is intense. All along the mountains of the west coast of the Philippines, most of Luzon, just seeing 300 millimeters plus. That is a sufficient enhanced habagat, which, to mention, you're probably not going to see signal force warnings there, but don't let that fool you. Serious flooding in the forecast, so want to keep a very close eye on that. If you are on the west coast. All right, so for our friends into Okinawa, Tuesday, Wednesday, nasty. It's gonna be messy, especially Miyako-jima. For anybody in the forecasted area of this storm, or Butchoy, for the arrival of any tropical cyclone, make sure you know that information from official sources. Prepare to evacuate if you need it, and check and prepare your emergency kit. Don't wait until the day before the storm hits to run out to the commissary for everybody in southern Japanese islands. Don't wait. Get those supplies now. If you get supplies now and you don't use it right away, it's not going to hurt. I tell you that. It's not going to be the end of the world. All right. Meanwhile, we have another storm system on the west coast. This is Butchoy, not named by JMA just yet, but this one, it's struggling, mainly because you have more shear interacting with this. You actually see on the northern side of the screen here, that northerly flow, it's just suppressed. It doesn't have those good outflow channels that our other storm system further towards the east has. In fact, we'll just pull this up one more time. You see how you have these outflow channels, and look here, there's your center. There's a little outflow and a little there, but it's more inflow in the loft, which is shear. So that one's going to have a hard time getting its act together, and thus staying relatively weaker. And thus, actually, if we go back to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center's forecast, they do not anticipate this becoming a typhoon, staying relatively weak, moving on shore across Hainan. Rainmaker, for sure, but relatively of a weaker storm here into southern areas of China. So bigger impacts. And we're talking about tropical system and direct impacts here across the Philippines and the southern Japanese islands, associated with our strengthening tropical depression now, but likely going to become a pretty decent typhoon moving across the southern Japanese islands, which, by the way, big wave maker for the southern coast of Okinawa. So be careful if you want to head out there and maybe take some pictures of the waves. Do not go surfing and then add that surf. I feel like it's simple to say that, but let's just be smart and let's re-stress that point here with Carina as it moves off towards the north here. Hey, if you watched all this update and you found it useful, two things if you could do me a huge solid. One is comment where you're watching from. I really would like to hear it. Just because I like to know what my audience is. I have analytics, but I want to see who's engaged. Two, subscribe, please, please, please. It helps so much. And I guess the last thing is, if you feel like it, I'll never put these stuff, if you're new to the channel, I'll never put this behind a paywall, but it does help if you check out our Patreon. $2 a month goes a long way. These are our super typhoons. These are, guys give $10 or even more a month. And I can't stress enough just how helpful and just chef's kiss to everybody who supports the channel. So yeah, we're going to continue to track this one. We got plenty to talk about over the next few days. I am exceptionally busy outside of making these updates. Oh, so much stuff going on in the world of Robert. So I do apologize. I was going to make 2 updates for each storm, just smashed them together, and doing my best to keep you all posted out here in the Western Pacific on our tropical systems. Follow my Facebook page, Robert Speta Weather, or Western Pacific Weather on Facebook. There are more updates posted there. So we get, because there's a whole team behind the scenes here, which all these fantastic graphics, by the way, Lex, Matthew, Tristan, all put a lot of these stuff together, like this one, as well as this one. You know, they do a great job. So if you want to check out Western Pacific Weather on Facebook, it does go a long way to just support the channel. All right, that's all for today, guys. Stay safe out there. I'll keep you posted. Continue to check back in for new updates.